different fucking planet, like.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot of material now. So even with theater, I think, I mean, depending on the stage size or whatever, you can get away with having multiple people on stage. But, when you're in your theater voice, you're kind of creating, stuff. So, you have to do your storylines about being in quarantine. And, does that get saturated after a while, So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things of, staying. And I think we just get so comfortable. We get so used to being around people that we're like, oh, well, I know that you're not sick or you don't seem sick. And then people start bringing down the multiple people on stage. You get too comfortable. And I think people have gotten so comfortable because we've been in this situation since
Oh, I see it
March.
all the time anywhere. People in the
Hmm.
supermarket, both employees and customers, have the mask down here on their
Right. If
chin.
it starts to fall, they let it just
They
stay.
just, yeah, or just covering the mouth, which is pointless.
Hmm. Right.
It's like, don't bother.
The nose trumpet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's people are gonna get too comfortable and they've tested the waters like, oh well, I've gone to a restaurant and I didn't get sick, or
And
I've
I'm
gone
okay.
to a
Yeah.
sister's house or my mom's house and I didn't get sick, or oh, we did a little party and I didn't get sick. And it'll just be that one time that there's one person, and who knows, like I haven't really done a lot of research this past week, but like, is it one of those things where if someone's super sick, are their viral loads so high that they're getting more people sick than an asymptomatic person? I think it's like, one to two
I
people that
don't
get sick.
know. Yeah.
But, if someone's coughing, hacking, sneezing, throwing up, if you're caring for them, of course, you're, super close. But if they're not taking precautions and they touch something and their viral load is so high that you go and touch it and you somehow some way forget to wash your hands afterwards, or don't sanitize your hands, um, is that another way? We're ordering out more, so it's on the packaging. Like when I order out, I only order from one place because I can see them cooking. It's a little Mexican spot on 10th Street, in Philly. But even when I get home, even though I see them wearing gloves, I don't know what they were doing beforehand. I wipe down that whole entire container. I only eat hot foods from places that I can't see,
Yeah.
how they're, and that's how I generally am with almost every restaurant. But it's kind of, yeah, I just, people say, well, you're living in fear. And I'm like, I'm living to keep living. Like, I want to travel. I want to, do all the things that I want to do. Can't do it when I'm dead. It's like not going to work.
Right. Right.
Yeah, somebody asked a question in the chat, which I found interesting. Do you think people will only, people who are followers of Trump um, will only follow him if it matches with their preconceived worldview? Like, will they
Mm.
only wear masks if they've been feeling uncomfortable but have been holding out because of Trump?
I feel like
I 100% agree with that.
Mm.
I think so many of them
Yeah.
are just sheep.
I mean,
Right.
I don't know though. I think he's more of a sheep than they are.
You think?
Yeah,
Like, will they say that he's only saying to wear a mask because that's what they're telling him to say? It's not how
yeah,
he really
They
feels.
might. They might. He's
yeah.
being pressured.
And if you look at his whole modus operandi for the entire term, it has been, I won with this 30% base, so I have to keep that 30% base, and if I keep that 30% base, I'll win again, right?
Right.
And so he's watching that base very carefully, and you notice how uncomfortable he gets when Fox starts to break ranks.
Yeah.
And that's been happening.
Yeah.
That's been happening. There's been, this little anchor here on Fox or that little anchor here on Fox that say, oh, I really think we should be wearing some masks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'll get mad, the first day, and then he'll change his tune the next day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm being simplistic about it.
No, I actually have seen some footage of that, of some fox hunter actually confronting him, and he gets really bent out of shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because if you look at the comments on some of those posts, the people are like, "Oh, that interviewer is not, interviewing him correctly." And you're like, "What?
He's
like, are you not watching the
same?"
Well, it's cognitive dissonance in such a huge way.
Right.
It's like the flat earthers all over again.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I just don't even bother arguing anymore. It's just like you could have graphs, you could have a PowerPoint presentation. They're just completely oblivious, and they just don't want to hear it or see it. So
yeah. And it's, so funny with the flat earthers. I always joke and say, if it was flat, the cats of the world would have knocked everything off of the side. Like, there would be nothing on the edge. Like, there is no way that is ever possible. Like,
I want to say we should take a flat earther that considers themselves a navigator and then try to send them from New York Harbor and see if they'll hit.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just
keep going. Go further.
Will you reach Europe ever? Because you don't understand how the Earth is shaped.
So yeah, we've come so far, and now
pilot ever flies me anywhere is a flat earther.
Mm.
Right. I mean, and even you can see it depending on how high up you're in a plane. The bigger the plane, the higher up you go, and you can actually see the concurve of the Earth. It's not like super curvy, but you can definitely tell it's not flat.
Yeah. I mean that more like if I'm trying to go to San Francisco, I want to get to San Francisco and not get somewhere else because they don't know how to navigate because they think damn Earth is flat.
We gotta reach the end. I don't know how to go to the other end. Yeah, and I guess those people have never been on one of those long flights to, that are, 20 some hours, where you got to stop somewhere else. Like they've never been on a plane, I guess. I don't know. It's just odd.
Yeah, when I fly to Japan and we have to get there via, the Arctic Circle, that's a pretty good indication that we're actually, flying the right way on the circle.
Yeah, and how on earth
do you have a stopover where?
No, you don't have a stopover.
No? Oh, wow.
The one, I think, what's the longest one? I've taken Houston to Sydney, and Houston to Sydney goes basically direct, but it's an S curve. And then I've taken Seattle to Japan, and Seattle to Japan basically goes up through Alaska and then back down.
I flew to Germany, made a stop there. This is when my mom passed away. She wanted her remains brought to India, and I went to Germany first because it's where my mom grew up, and I left a little bit of remains with at the grave of my grandfather and grandmother, and then continued on to India, and then came back the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, this is obvious.
It connects. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
One day we'll figure out, how to really explain. And, we can't even blame the school system because we're taught from time.
No, look at the map. The map behind you. See, it's flat. See?
Yeah, it's flat. I guess the edge of the Earth. Yeah.
There was an amazing.
Whole story behind that map too.
There was an amazing documentary on Netflix about these people, and the very last scene, they were trying to do a laser experiment to prove the Earth was flat, and then the laser because the idea is you shoot a laser long enough and then it won't work, right? And it didn't work. And he's like, oh, it was an amazing example of cognitive dissonance, because he was like, oh, well, we better go fix this laser. And I was like, oh my, that's well. And what I said to myself when I saw that is like, I better watch out. I bet there's some things in my life I do this with. Like,
you never know.
You know, this is a human mentality. This is just a really bad version of that, but I should watch it. You know, like, when do I assume or want an answer to be a certain way, and then make that happen, you know?
Right.
So, but it was very, very, very eye-opening.
All right, it's 11 o'clock.
Ciao.
We gotta wrap up. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us, and put a brief plug in for my YouTube channel. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll put it in the chat. I'm only 30 people away from being able to customize the YouTube.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, if folks can subscribe to the YouTube, it'll help me customize the YouTube URL, and I'll be able to move on from there. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get a notification anytime these are coming up. And if you want to be a guest, or if you want to participate more directly, feel free to drop me a line, and we'll get you on as a guest. But
thank you for doing this, James.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming out.
Bye-bye.